Delhi's pollution crisis. This as Delhi continues to breathe severe air for the second straight day. Well, there are wide-ranging ramifications of this toxic air. Of course, on the face of it, it causes wheezing, coughing, but it can also cause chronic respiratory illnesses, and long-term exposure can even lead to cancer. But what's most concerning is that various recent reports have revealed the link that air pollution has with more dangerous illnesses and more long-term illnesses like, say, antibiotic resistance, or even hampering your child's cognitive development. Year after year, we have reported on NDTV how children are the most vulnerable to toxic air. Schools have yet again shifted partially to the online mode, something that is so unfair on our children. They cannot play out in the open because the air continues to be toxic. Again, absolutely unfair on our little kids. How do we protect Delhi's children? The government has clearly failed us in providing long-term solutions, of course, in targeting pollution at the source level, which is why it is on us now to protect our children from the toxic air. Joining me on the show this morning, Dr. Nihar Parikh, pediatrician and director at GS Childcare. Thanks very much, Dr. Parikh, for being with us. My first question to you, what is the potential impact that toxic air and long-term exposure to toxic air can have on children, particularly, who continues to be the most vulnerable to air pollution?
Hi, good morning. So it's a very basic understanding that the air that we breathe gets into the lungs, it reacts with the lungs and the gases which the body uses, basically oxygen. It provides energy, a source of growth to the different parts of the body. Now, when the air is toxic, the particles, the toxins enter, the body takes it as an external factor and reacts to it in form of inflammation. Now, where there is inflammation, there is swelling, there is wheezing of the chest tubes, the oxygen delivery to the lungs and the blood system reduces. Short terms have lung infections, pneumonias, chronic asthmas, required use of antibiotics because if the local resistance of the lungs is broken, bacteria and viruses can enter much easily and play much more havoc than normally they would. And long term, because of low levels of oxygen continuously being supplied to different parts of the body, including the brain, the cognitive functions and all start. So yes, it's an entire holistic detrimental effect on a child's growing body.
That's an important point you're making, because the risk is on so many levels. It's not just, hampering the child's breathing and respiratory system, but also long-term exposure can lead to hampering the child's cognitive development as well. And that is something that's a lesser known fact. Given the fact that these are developmental years, how can it pose a long-term and enduring impact on the child's overall well-being?
So this is usually in two forms. One, because of the really poor air quality, children fall sick more often. A child who falls frequently sick does not grow, does not put on weight, requires frequent medication, and hence the growth suffers. In long-term basis, like I said before, the oxygen delivery to the brain, to the heart, to different parts of the body is compromised. And once that is compromised, since oxygen is the key to every organ, for every organ to function to its optimum, they get irritable, short attention spans, hemoglobin starts dropping, mental growth, agitation, hyperness, and decrease what we call as holistic backwardness, meaning inability to perform to their genetic potential.
That's such an important point you're making, that it can lead to something as grave as this kind of holistic backwardness. But my last question to you, we also see that, as measures, children are not sent out often by parents. They prefer keeping children at home. But that also all these measures end up hampering the child's overall well-being as well. There's no physical development, given the fact that children are advised to stay indoors or not. They're advised not to venture out. What do we do as caregivers and parents to protect our child's overall well-being in these crucial months?
I think every parent has to take a really active step in knowing primarily what is the air quality.
Yes.
What every number, kind of indicates, above 200, above 300, above 400. And the minute it gets hazardous, they need to stick to indoor activities. I know there's a limitation to that. Trying to keep the indoor environment or AQIs clean with air purifiers, trying to get rid of the dust collectors in their houses, get rid of the soft toys, roll up the carpets, keep dust mite resistant mattresses. These are things you can do. If they have to step out, they will have to mask up. Unfortunately, the last I heard, Delhi was somewhere 428 and 430 AQIs, which is absolutely hazardous. It's like breathing in a gas chamber. They have to stay indoors. Now, we hope and pray over time there is a solution found by the government where this gas chamber doesn't exist. Otherwise, keeping the
Yes.
kids indoors is thoroughly detrimental for their physical,
And
mental, and emotional
Dr.
well-being.
Pari, the last 30 seconds, you can quickly tell me some of the cases that you've been grappling with over the years as far as children are concerned vis-a-vis air pollution.
So number one, the commonest is the local lung issue. Frequent pneumonias. There are a lot of atypical as the pollutions and the smog mix together in the winters. The air gets heavier. The bacteria linger much lower than they normally would. Cross infections from one child to the other.
Right.
Recurrent bronchitis. Kids who have had pneumonias or asthma are continuously being nebulized. Frequent rounds of medication and antibiotics are making these bacteria more antibiotic resistant. So higher and higher in medication we go. And lastly, the days of school missed, days of play missed, emotional and behavioral stunting.